All right, so I'm Tom. Today's topic is loyalty programs and Counterpoint. The session is being recorded, so if any of your coworkers were interested in this and were not able to attend, we will make sure through JC we will get the link sent out to the recording, or if you just want to have a copy for referring to later. So as many of you, well, I don't know if you may or may not know, I guess I should assume that in Counterpoint, there is loyalty programs. In fact, it is built in and it's something that you could be using or begin using right away if you chose to. So my goals for today are to show you the basics of loyalty programs. I will say with loyalty programs, there's a wide range of how people choose to implement them. And we can go all the way from a very, very basic program to lots of rules and complexity and rules about redemptions and everything else. But for the purposes of today, my goal is to just start with the basics. We want to crawl before we walk and we want to walk before we run. So that's the goal today. And hopefully by the end of today, you'll see that you can use loyalty programs in Counterpoint without a lot of extra effort. And of course, if you have questions, if you decide to pursue this, we as LPA are very happy to always share a screen, help you get things set up and going. So with no further ado, I'm going to pop into my Counterpoint, which is right here. And we'll talk about loyalty programs. So the starting point for this is I'm going to go over where loyalty programs are created, and that is under Setup, Customers, and this is called Loyalty Programs. And I think practically every instance of Counterpoint that we put out there, Counterpoint has a starter program. It might either be called Basic or Loyal One, but chances are you have this. If you don't, then you could just hit the add button and create a new one. The name really doesn't matter, but so you can give it whatever name you choose to. So you can see here, I have this. I'm just stretching out my screen here. So I have this sample program or sample loyalty program. Not a very catchy name, Loyalty Program One. Of course, you could come up with better names. I have customers who have things like Radco Bucks. That's one of our customers that use this. But you can come up with a catchy name for your loyalty program. And you can see that my loyalty program is currently enabled. And the first thing with our basic program that we're going to set up today is we have to decide about the earnings. And earnings are usually the easiest part of the whole discussion about setting up a program. For most folks, we keep the earning rules pretty simple. A very standard rule is for every dollar you spend, you get a point. Um, and one thing I will say, as you're thinking about your marketing program and setting up a loyalty program, I personally will say, or my recommendation is to keep it simple, right? Um, I've been at stores where they have very complicated loyalty programs, and I ask the employee, well, how does this work, or what do I get? And sometimes the employee is like, I don't know, and so they've already lost me. If the program's so complicated that the employee can't even explain it to me, then I've already lost interest. So I'm a big fan of simple. I can understand, for every dollar I spend to get a point. I've seen some people that will play with that a little bit, only because they don't want it too obvious to the customer that if you see your points balance, if I have a 9,000 point balance, some companies don't always want it so easy for the customer to relate that to, oh, I've spent $9,000 here and get freaked out. So I have seen people play with this a little bit. But in general, I would say probably 80% of the customers that I work with who are using loyalty program probably have this rule just like this. You're earning 1 point per dollar. There's check boxes over here, the way you can dial this in a little bit about whether you still earn points if an item was on sale or if you still earn points if there was a price override. I personally would say I would always leave these checked. Again, simply from the standpoint of keeping it simple. Um, if you uncheck these, it might make sense to you, but you know, three weeks, 3 months down the line, some employee is going to be ringing up a customer, and an item's going to be on a 10% sale or something, and they will earn no points, and nobody will remember why they didn't get their points. So I'm a big fan of just leave those on. Again, in my mind, if you spent money with us, we should give you some points. Um, Now, there's this tab here, this button that gets us to earning rules. And I'm going to highlight this rule, and you can see I have a very basic rule set up. 1 point per dollar, and right here, this is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you really define it. I'm going to come back in a minute and we'll show there's also a point per stocking unit, and I'm going to show you an example of how we might use that. But again, the most basic is this. Now you can see down below, there is some filtering ability. And you could say, maybe you're trying to promote a particular category, and you could say you get double points for if you buy anything in our, something category. There's even the ability, you could have a rule that said, hey, if you shop with us on Tuesdays, maybe Tuesdays is a slower day of the week. You could have a rule that said double points Tuesday, and you could set those up. I'm not going to go there the second, just know that that's possible. Okay. So for our first pass at this, very simple, I'm earning 1 point per dollar. And that's my earning rule. And really, there's nothing more to creating an earning rule. And I've had some customers, they're still kind of debating what the rewards are going to be or what you get for your points. But I've had customers who just say, yeah, we want to start earning points. And you could turn this on today. And any customers that you assign to the loyalty program, and I'll show you in a moment where we assign those, they could start earning points immediately. So that's the earning side. Before I get into the redeeming, I think I do want to show you how you add someone to a program. So I'm going to leave here just for a moment. Maybe some of you have seen this before, but if I go to customers, and I'm just going to pull up a customer, Carol Don, she's going to be our sample customer today. I happen to know if I go to this activity tab, this is where we have some information about loyalty programs. So in this case, Carol is already added to this loyalty program called Loyal One. You don't have to have card numbers. In this example, she had one, and it looks like we used their phone number for that example, but you don't need that. When we get a little bit further into today's presentation, I'll show you in Counterpoint. It's just looking up customers like you typically do. Some people like having a loyalty card. So, you hand out a piece of plastic to the customer. I would say in the last, I would even say 10 years, most people are getting away from plastic loyalty cards. So many customers are tired of just one more thing to put in their wallet. But all we need to do is be able to find them. So your standard customer lookup, you don't have to give out a piece of plastic. We can find that customer. I'll just point out, as long as we're here, if a customer's loyalty program, this is one place where you can see over here loyalty points balance. I will show you other places and easier places to see that. But just so you know, when it comes to loyalty programs and the customers, this customer form, here's where you see a little bit of information about the loyalty and what's going on. Let me see if I find someone who's not, here's someone who's not currently. So here's Bill McMaster, not currently in a loyalty program. And you'll notice it looks like that field's grayed out. And it looks like, well, I can't get in there. It's just that this is what Counterpoint calls a protected field. And that just means there's a lock up here. And if you're a user that has the permission, and chances are if you're on this call today, you probably are a person that has the permissions. You'll notice if I click that lock, that unlocks any protected fields, and now I can put them in this program. Now, you might wonder, well, what's the big deal? Why lock it down? And there's actually a very good reason. If I came in, and here's Carol, and she's a very loyal customer. She spent 13 grand with us. She's earned up a lot of points. I won't do this, but if I came into this and for some reason I remove this or put them in a different program, Counterpoint automatically clears out the point balance. So just be aware of that. Usually once someone's in a program, we're not typically taking them out or putting them someplace else. Most people only have one loyalty program. But if you're wondering, well, what's the big deal? Why is the field locked? Because we don't want someone removing that and then customer lose their points. We can track that. We can know that happened, and there's ways to fix that if it happened, but that's why it's protected. All right, so back to where we were. We were in setup, customers, and we're going down the path of creating this program called Loyal One. And we talked through the earnings. And again, just keep it simple, at least for starting. You can always make it more complicated later. And then we get into redeeming. Now with redeeming, if you can see this, it's maybe not totally obvious. At the moment, I have for my redeeming, I have my value per point at 0.02. All right. And let me see here. I'm gonna pull up some blank space here where we can talk. So when I think about loyalty programs and redeeming points and this math that gets involved, I always try to make it very simple for my customers. And the question I ask them is, if a customer spent $100 with me, okay, if they spent $100, then my question is, what future benefit would you like? And I'm going to show you today using the standard loyalty points and counterpoint that we can turn this into a dollar value that can be used at the register as a pay code as a loyalty point redemption. The example I have set up today is $2. All right. So if you spent $100 with me, then at some time in the future, if you redeem those 100 points, that's the equivalent of $2. Okay, or really easy math here today, 0.02. If you said, well, we can give a little bit of better discount than that. If you said they get, maybe $5 after they spend 100, then the math is 0.05. Okay. This percentage here, whatever, sometimes that can be confusing to people. So I always just come back to this. What is the value? If a customer spent $100, what do they get in the future? In my example, I'm going to go with $2. And for a lot of retailers, it's like essentially it's a 2% discount. And most retailers for a loyalty program are very happy with, a 2%. Customer feels like they're getting a great deal. And honestly, you're not really giving away that much. So where was that set up? That was set up right here. So 0.02 is what I'm putting. That's value per point. Now, at the time of redeeming, I can set a minimum. In this case, I have a minimum of, you have to use at least 100 points. 100 points at 0.02 is $2. And that's just so, why bother with you redeeming points if it was 36 cents? That, to me, that'd be kind of a waste of everybody's time. So this has a kind of a bottom level of, you're at least using $2 of loyalty points if you're redeeming. All right. Over on the right, there's some questions about how will this redemption be used. Now, in my example, of course, typically you'd want to use your points to be able to purchase merchandise. To me, hopefully that's obvious. It's up to you about, can you buy gift cards with this? Some people are like, I don't, it's like they're not always so sure they want to do that. You get to decide if loyalty points can apply towards the tax. I oftentimes will have that turned on only because if you fully pay for a ticket with points and you don't have that checked, then you're going to get in this weird situation where the tax still shows up. So, wow, they got a ton of points. They can, whatever they're buying today, you can buy the whole thing. But then, $1.26 shows up and it's just hanging there. And so if you click this, then that applies. Miscellaneous charges is things like shipping. And again, that's very much up to you whether or not you want loyalty points to be able to cover things like shipping or other things. So I'm going to save those changes. Now, at the moment, I haven't gone into my redeeming rules, but just like with the earning rules, there is a button here, a box, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we'll just talk very briefly about redeeming. Now, at the moment, I have a very simple rule. It's simply, I can use this for everything. I can redeem this for everything. I do have some customers who might have, and sometimes it's just a single category or a single group of products. And maybe it's just something that either you make so little margin or it's almost like a service to the customer that you even offer it. And maybe you just don't want to discount that anymore. Because at the end of the day, even though we're talking about loyalty programs and redeeming points, at the end of the day, this really is a discount, right? That's really what this is. So I've seen people, even though I have this line here, I might say I'm going to pick a category. Oh, let's say I don't know. This is a made up example, but we'll pick on apparel just as a made up example. Um, Whoops, hang on. It wasn't on the line I thought it was. Let me try this again. Um, not, um, no, I could do apparel. Actually, I think I did this backwards. Let me fix that. This is my redeeming. I'm going to customize my filter for just a moment. Category is not. So I could do something like this. And for any reason, I could exclude. So if I save that rule, then now for my redeeming, even though it's this 0.02 per point or whatever, I'm enforcing some rules. So it's not just available anything. I've chose a particular category where points are not useful. It's a little rare that people break these out, but I have seen cases where they're just like, no, we're already giving the customer the greatest deal on the planet. We're just not going to give them anything more. So that's what that would look like. All right, so I want to go backward here, and we're back to we have a redeeming rule, simple redeeming rule. I'm sorry, simple earning, simple redeeming, and then down here there is this section that gets into a little bit about what happens at the time of redeeming. I've seen some loyalty programs where if, let's say, I'm doing $100 purchase, and if even $5 of that purchase I'm paying with points. I've seen retailers who say, if that's happening, then you don't earn any more points on this transaction, right? We're essentially giving you a discount today, and we're not going to reward you any further. Um, that's if you choose this. You can say, um, yes, you can still earn points, but I'm going to reduce. So maybe typically you would have earned, I don't know, 250 points on this sale. But if you use some of your points, let's say you used 100 points, I don't want to credit you that full 250. And they have this multiplier. The typical answer on this is just one. So in my example, and I'm going to go back to my whiteboard here today. Here's my whiteboard. Um, let's say I had some transaction and I typically would have earned, let's say, 200 points. If I paid, I don't know, 150 of that ticket of points, then I really want to earn today 50. So that's that redeeming factor. And to go back to where you set that, it's here. When in doubt, you can either choose 0, meaning you're not going to earn points if you're using points, or if you do, just know that the simple answer on this is you put a 1 there and you're done. And this to me is kind of a no-brainer. If a ticket's fully paid in points, then yeah, you shouldn't earn anything. So, all right. Um, I've been kind of talking about setting up this rule, but let's go in and we're going to try this out, see it in action, and talk a little bit about the implementing of this and how that looks. Um, on the chat, if anybody had a quick question on what we've seen here so far, I'll give everyone a chance right now. If anybody wants to chime in quick on the chat. Okay, either no one has chimed in or I'm just not seeing it. All right, well, I'm going to keep going then. So let's see what this looks like in practice or whatever. So now if I go to point of sale, I want to go into my company. Now, hopefully this is obvious. With the loyalty program, then when you're ringing up folks, you do want to be capturing who they are. So just ringing up everybody under the cash customer, they're never going to earn any points personally. Hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully if you don't already, you'd have a button on your touchscreen, and we can help you add one if you don't, called customer lookup and standard customer lookup. However you look somebody up, I'm going to look up Carol, and I've got a couple of Carols, but I'll go find her. And there's Carol, and I'm gonna pull around to the ticket. And I'm gonna buy some stuff today. I've got a snack bar, and I got some easy buttons, so I guess I'm just gonna buy some stuff. These prices are fantastic, by the way. Man, if those prices were for real, right? Here, I'm just gonna throw in anything else here. This is my golf company, so let's throw in an umbrella. Anyway, so we got some things going on here. And I rang this up for Carol, and I'm gonna go ahead and pay. It's just a standard transaction. She came in, whatever. And I rang this up. Now she would have gotten a receipt off of that. Let me show you what that would look like. All right, so standard receipt, but when we rang this up, we made sure that we selected Carol. And you can see down at the bottom of your receipt, you should have a points earned. And why did she earn points? She earned points because she's in the loyalty program, right? You have to be in that program to earn points. And next up, you can see this balance, all right? Now, some things I want to talk about here at the point of sale. When someone comes in, I could go look up Carol here. And at this point, there's really I'm not getting any hints that there's any points for Carol to use. And that'd be nice to know, right? Um, I'm going to put on an item or two here or whatever. You'll notice it's not the biggest message on the planet. But right here, and I had to at least get an item or two onto the ticket before that shows up. To me, that's kind of funky behavior on Counterpoint's part. But there's this little tiny message that tells me that there's points available. I personally, I don't know if I would see that in the store, especially in the hustle and bustle of moving people through the line. So I'm going to show you a trick that we as LPA have always done for our customers. It's not really a trick, it's standard Counterpoint, but on my customer lookup, you can right click in this header. So I'm just right clicking anywhere up here. And I'm going to go to this thing called a column designer. And I'm going to move down a bit, and I'm looking for something that is called, get down into the loyalty areas. There's a field here called loyalty program. I'm just going to double click that. And there's one for loyalty points balance. Okay. So I just added these. I'm going to say okay. And now at the time of looking up a customer, I get to see a little more information. I kind of like this change, by the way. So over here where it says options, I'm going to say save as. I'm going to save that as my default so that I don't have to modify that every time I come in. So I'll approve it. When I click customer lookup, boom, that's kind of nice. If you're concerned that your employees might still miss this, you can go even farther. You can right click in this header, go to your column designer, and I'm gonna go to this thing that says column options. I'm gonna highlight loyalty program, and let's see how fancy we want to get here. On my, this is the title. Maybe I'll make it bold. Sure, I will, as soon as I see it. There we go, bold. On the actual text itself, maybe I'll make that bold, and we'll see if that jumps out a little bit. It's a little bit. I'm not wowed yet. If you really want to draw attention, you can go to column designer, column options, highlight this, and let's see if this works today. I'm going to choose a nice color. Let's see if we like that. There we go. I like my changes. I'm going to say options, save as. Okay. So why bother with all that? Now, if your employees are trained in and you're used to ringing up your customers and looking up your customers, or they say, hey, are you in our loyalty program? They say, yep. And they'll click here, look them up, however you do that, whether it's by phone number or name or whatever. And let's say I'm looking up Carol, and right away you're like, aha, you can see right here, not only are they in the program, they got a ton of points, right? So even up front, you're now aware that there's points involved. Okay, even before you've scanned the first item, you'll notice Counterpoint hasn't given us the heads up yet, but your employees are already aware that they could offer this to the customer. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's throw on a few items here. I'm going to go back to my umbrella, and I think I got a putter, and I got a few things going on. Well, now I happen to know from the beginning. Now I get this reminder, but I knew from the very beginning, just from my customer lookup, that there's points available. And so I can offer that to my customer when I go to pay and say, hey, I noticed you have some loyalty points available. Would you like to use these today? Chances are they're going to say yes. So I can go over here where it says loyalty points, or this is my pay code. I have a pay code called loyalty points. And let's take a moment and see what Counterpoint's telling us here. So, oh, and by the way, I should show you what this looks like. I'm going to purposely go back and change our lookup to our walk-in customer. If you've not looked up the customer, you're just ringing this up under the customer or the cash customer. The customer goes, or the employee goes to pay, they hit loyalty points, it's going to say points can't be redeemed. In other words, this isn't a loyalty member, right? That's you got to have points to use them, right? Got to have points to use them. So no big deal here. What was missing is we just have to select Don, who has a ton of points. And now when I go to pay and I click on loyalty points, all is well. Tons of points available to use. And we'll just take a moment and look at these. So a ton of points available, 13,000 balance. The only reason it says 5,000 eligible is because the subtotal of the ticket is, well, including taxes, $111. So that's eligible. If you do the math on 0.02 per point, whatever, you get to the 55, 56 points, whatever. You don't have to worry about that. The only thing we really care about is what's available. Now, Carol is kind of an unusual situation. She just has more points than anybody on the planet. Let me see if I can look up a customer a little more true to life. Uh, Sort descending. Okay. Even 5,000 is quite a bit of points, but let's go pick on this guy. Oh, even usually your points available is way less than the purchase. So I'm just going to purposely throw in some expensive items here. Um, Thought we had something a little more expensive. Oh, this is pretty expensive. So there we go. So this is a little more true to life. Usually, what's due is way less than the points available. So in this case, typically you want to use them up, right? So I'm going to say, yep, I've got 114 available. It's not going to pay off the whole ticket, but let's go ahead and use that. And then there's still some amount due. No big deal. I'll go do my cash, pay ticket balance, and there we are. If I go back and see what happened. So there we go. So I paid with points. There was the points used were more than the points we gained, and so there we go. So there we go. So the good news on everything I've shown so far is completely in the box. Every single thing I've shown you so far is standard counterpoint. And let's go back to our rules. So that was setup system. customer, set up. Try again. Set up customers list price. Now, a few things. There's a really common question that we get asked, and I just want to show you this. Sometimes people will say, "Hey, when I add somebody to my customer to my loyalty program, I'd really like to give them some kind of benefit or incentive just to get them to join, right?" And so even though you earn, $1 per point, anybody that signs up today, I'd like to give them 50 points right out of the gate just for signing up. So back in our loyalty program, actually, first of all, let me show you in our inventory items, I created an item before we started today. I created an item called sign up. This is just an item that I created. I made it a non-inventory item. It's $0. But the reason I did this is that you can train your employees that if you sign up somebody at the register, then you just drop this onto their ticket. And in our loyalty earnings rules, we'll put a rule specifically just for this item that they'll get points. So here's the item. Again, it's a non-inventory item. It's $0 price. But if we get this on the ticket, we'll set up our loyalty program. If I go back to set up customers loyalty programs, and we'll give them the benefit of this. So here's my program. I'm going to my earnings rule. Now, right now, that sign up would earn 0 points because it was a $0 item. We're not going to charge any money. But here's where I can get my bonus here. So we'll call this sign up plus 50 points, or whatever we want to do. What's different here, we're not looking at this field over here where it says points per dollar. We're going to look at this side where it says points per stocking unit. So I'm going to say you get 50 each. It's not for the world though. It's just for this one item, my sign up. And not that the order really matters here, but I'm going to go ahead and move that up just so it's right at the top so I don't forget that it's there. And so what's going on with this, or what it's doing? I just added a new rule. It's for a single item. It only applies to this item sign up. But you can see points per stocking is 50, and then it'll be on the ticket as 1. So we'll get the 1. And then we get everything else is based on points per dollar, right? So let's save this, and we're going to try it out and prove that that all works. And you can see now on my earning, even though it's still 1 point per dollar, 2 earning rules are defined. All right, so let's go try this out. So I'm heading back to my touch screen. And in this case, chances are it's a brand new customer. So if someone comes in, I click on my customer lookup. Maybe I'm looking them up and I don't find them. No big deal. Brand new customer, happy to add them. So I'm going to click my add. And you probably already have a form that looks very much like this today. And we'll put in this new customer. This is going to be Jenny Swanson. And you can decide how much or how little you're going to capture. Maybe just emails all you care about. Customer category doesn't matter so much here, but you'll notice for this lookup, I did modify. I dropped on loyalty program. If you don't have this on your screen and you want your employees to be able to add people right at the register, let us at LPA know. We'll be happy to help you. It's not hard, but it's a little buried in the configs, so we'll show you that. So there we go, and I would hit save. Now, once that customer exists, if I went back and clicked on my edit, you'll notice that's grayed out again. And it's grayed out for the same reason that when we were in the actual customer's maintenance form, it's grayed out. It's grayed out because we don't want people kind of willy-nilly changing it. You still, if you have permissions, and chances are not all your employees have the permission, but you could unlock that if need be. If you had an existing customer, here's Susan Anderson, and she suddenly today decided she wanted to join the program, that is possible, but you do have to be able to unlock that and put them in the program. Okay. Now I do have some customers who say, nope, I don't want people at the front register. I don't want them stopping the line to do this. and they reserve the adding of the customer behind the scenes. Or I have a lot of folks, if you want to, you just make the default for any brand new customer that you add. And I'm going to go turn this on real quick. We'll go into our customers. They're typically a template customer. That's where all the defaults come from. Sorry, let me check and make sure this is really set up. 1 second. Set up. So on your template customer, if you put them in the loyalty program, and this is actually a pretty common practice. I'm sorry, I'll go back to customers so you can see where that was. In customers, typically you have a customer that is template. That's where the defaults come from. And I just now on the activity tab, I added them to this loyalty program. And by doing that, everybody, if you add somebody as a customer, whoops, didn't mean to go there. So if I added, I'm just adding a completely brand new customer. I'll call this test only. You'll notice the loyalty program's already set, and all I have to do is hit save. And that actually makes sense in a lot of ways because for most customers I work with, the goal is you're trying to capture customer information. So if you get to the point where they're giving you their name or phone number, or email, usually that's the bar that gets them into the loyalty program. So if you add that as a default to your template customer, there's no additional thought required by your employees. It's just simply anyone who gives us enough information to add them as a customer, they're automatically in the loyalty program and they'll start earning points on that ticket. Does that make sense? Okay. And Chantel, on my chat window, I'm not seeing any chats so far. So either folks are not feeling very chatty today, or I'm just not looking in the right place. So if you're seeing chats and I'm missing them, please let me know.
Yeah, the chat hasn't been active, so you're good, Tom.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mary Lofgren, if you're watching, you should put at least one chat so I can see that it's working. Hey, there we go. Okay, thank you. Mary took one for the team and she put in the chat. Thank you. All right. I, I think this might be the dynamic that we're all heading into a holiday weekend. It's like pick up the pace, Tom. We're ready to move on. We're ready to be done. Okay, I'm gonna try to kind of put a bow on this and wrap this up. So what's the point of this? So the point is using standard counterpoint today, you could turn on loyalty programs. We as LPA are very happy to help. We can help you set these up. And just a very basic program you could get going almost immediately. Now, with this program as it's set up right now, customer comes in, I go and look them up. I'm going to go back to my Carol Vaughn, and right away I see, oh, she has points, and hey, would you like to use those points? Now, I have heard people make the argument. It's like, well, your loyalty program isn't really doing its job because, Carol was in your store anyway. A true loyalty program is reaching out and kind of drawing people in or kind of motivating people to come in. But I have an argument, I have a counter for that. Well, actually, I have two things to say about that. Number one, there's no reason why you can't have a marketing program or an email program. There's a tool called Customer Connect that works with Counterpoint, and you can set up a rule in Customer Connect that says once a month, email everybody that has over 5,000 points and say, hey, reminder, you have loyalty points or rewards, come on in and spend them. So you can use it from that standpoint. But even without that, my argument is I shop in my neighborhood. There's a Walgreens within about a mile, and there's a CVS. And I only go to Walgreens. And the reason why is every time I ring up a sale, I type in my phone number and I'm earning points. And I don't know how many points I earn, but all I know is every so often, every couple weeks or something, the person behind the register will say, hey, you've got, $2.95 of points. Do you want to use those? And I always smile and say, yeah, yes, I do. Now, some people could argue and say, well, they didn't send you an email. You didn't get a letter saying, come in and use your points. But in my mind, I know that's always possible. It doesn't happen every time, but I always know it's possible. So I'm loyal to Walgreens. I don't go to CVS because they never say, Tom, would you like some extra money today? So I would argue, even without the marketing, even without sending out an email, and if you're the marketing person, maybe you'll be sad because it's like then you don't have to do your job. But I would argue, even a simple program like this does drive loyalty and it does drive repeat business because people are aware that they're going to get those rewards. So that's a little bit from Tom today. My 2 cents on the topic of the rewards. So let's wrap this up. So we have simple programs for earning points. Um, on your touchscreen today, if you go to the pay codes, there's a chance you don't have a button already for loyalty points, but that's just a pay code that we can very easily add. And you could start, using these pretty fairly simply without a lot of extra help. Now, I will say this, everything I've shown you today, I've tried to show you what's in the box because you've made an investment in Counterpoint. So of course we want to show you the tools you already have. But I do have people who, for whatever reason, choose to, add on to this or customize it, or there's a particular way in which they want their loyalty programs to work. And we as LPA, we work with folks all the time to either customize or tweak or make it into something you want. So today was the basics, but we can always go from here and build on this. I've had people, the redeeming part's usually pretty much the same. I think when it comes to, or I'm sorry, earning. My customers in general, everybody earns pretty much the same way. That's not where you get into the customizations or the tweaks. But where we get into the tweaks sometimes is the redeeming. And sometimes people have very set ideas about a particular way in which they want the points to be able to be redeemed, or they want them only to be redeemed. And you can only redeem $5 at a time. And people get into some rules like this. We as LPA, we have a ton of tools in terms of customizations that we can do to kind of tweak these things. But again, today was all about the basic, what's in the box, what you could use immediately. So hopefully you found this somewhat useful. I am not seeing a bunch of questions here, but I'm going to now go from this. I'm going to switch gears just briefly. The next question that would typically come up in this is, okay, people are earning points. I know they're out there, but how do I report on that, or how do I know what's going on? So I'm going over from my main menu. I'm going to customers. I'm going to reports. And you'll notice we have a few reports here. We have a loyalty points report. We have a loyalty points history, and we have something called a redemption. So let's just go check these out briefly, and that will probably be enough for today. So loyalty points report. I'm just going to preview this. I'm going to do the brief version first, just so you can see this. And this is just kind of nice to know, right? Given the fact that your customers that have a balance, it's essentially, people that could walk in at any moment and claim their discount. So it's kind of nice to know it's out there. From an accounting standpoint, this doesn't really have to show up on a GL anywhere, because really this is just like coupons in your customer's mailbox. But it's nice to know, right? So that's nice to know. The full version, let's see how much more detail they give us. Okay, so this gets a little more going on, but I'll make this bigger so you can see it. With this, instead of just seeing a balance, you can see points earned. You can adjust points. I guess I should show you that before the day is done. Occasionally, you'll have some reason. Maybe a customer had a bad retail experience, and you just want to say, "Hey, I'm going to give you 5,000 points, for coming in," or maybe that's a marketing thing, and you're going to give some certain groups points, whatever. But you can manually adjust points. So in the case of Bill Baker, he must be a great guy, because not only did he earn 7,000 points, so he spent 7 grand with us, but he got a 10K bonus at some point. You can see from this, last points are earned. This is kind of nice informational. Last ticket, blah, blah, blah. Some summary, yada, yada. Okay, so that's the first report. Loyalty to points history. Let's go look at Bill because it's kind of interesting. Actually, we'll look at Carol because I did some test transactions yesterday. I'm going to go way back to the beginning of time here. Just to see everything that happened. That's not very exciting. So here's loyalty points history. It's just kind of a different flavor of the first report we looked at, but you can see total documents or tickets, total points, redeem. So just one time has that customer redeemed points. So again, just a different slice of looking at what's going on with your program. So there's that. Look at this. You can say include document detail. You can get really specific. Let's see how loaded this report gets. Okay, there we go. If you really want to see the blow by blow, maybe someone's questioning their loyalty points and they're saying, no, these points can't possibly be right. You can actually get down to a document by document level, see the items on the ticket, see the points. It's hard to imagine that this would ever come up as a real problem. Usually if someone's really fighting it, you just give them some more points and be done with it, right? But if you really wanted to research it, you can see there's a ton of detail under loyalty points history. Lastly, let's see, loyalty points redeemed. This is going to be the redemption side of life. Let's go look. Go from the beginning of time. We'll just look at one customer, maybe. We'll look at just Carol from the beginning of time. Okay. Loyalty points redemptions. She only just yesterday I did this test. Let's see, include document detail. All right, so it shows you, in this case, ticket date, the item. So not very exciting. Let's see if Bill Baker is any more exciting. Which one was it? I don't know. Let's see if any of these are any more exciting. Nope. All right. Well, I guess in my test company, not a lot of redemptions have happened. I did mention adjustments. I should show you that. So under customers, you can go to adjustments. Oops, I think I messed up already. Try again. Customers, loyalty programs, adjust points. That's where I wanted to be. So loyalty points enter. So for whatever reason, maybe something was in error, or you found out that Don was missing some points for some reason. Shouldn't be because she already got 13,000. But we'll come in and say, oh, there was a mistake, and she was supposed to have an additional correction on 30 or whatever. And I can say post, and now she gets extra points. Now, if I go look at her customer record right now, actually, there she goes. So we bumped her up. She'd been hovering around 13,000 when we were testing today, and now she's bumped up to 15,000. All right. So in terms of the basics, those are the things I wanted to show you today. I'm very happy if we have a few quick questions. Very happy to go over any questions. Otherwise, we'll be happy to send out the video. And again, I consider this the starting point for discussion. From here, if you choose to implement it, you might have some additional questions, and we would be very happy to share a screen and help you with anything you might like to try. All right, so other than Mary's hello, Tom, I'm giving this a minute, see if anyone has a quick question. I'm not seeing any yet, so unless I'm really missing it, thank you everybody for your time today, and look forward to talking with you more. If you have any questions at all, you can reach us through LPA retail, or let's see, support. Oh, Mary said thank you. Thank you, Mary. So let's get this on the old stream here. You can reach us at support at LPA Retail. And of course, I'm Tom at LPA. Support's a little maybe safer bet because if I'm out with a customer or once a year there's a mistake in HR and I get a day off, then you may not always reach me immediately, but we do monitor our support at LPA Retail. So if you have questions, reach out to us and we'll go from there. Hey, look at all you nice people. Thank you, Heather. People saying thank you. Thank you, Robert. Hey, Heather says, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Mary. All right. Well, everybody, you've done diligence. You learned some new information on a Friday before holiday weekend, and now I wish you all well. Have a great 4th. Hey, there's Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm going to sign off here, and we will get the video sent out to everybody. Thank you all.